Ladies and gentlemen, God will make a way for you. I want you to hold on to those words with every fiber of your being. In the moments when the world feels like it's closing in on you, when the weight of your struggle seems unbearable, and when the silence around you feels deafening, remember He is working behind the scenes, crafting a way out, a way forward, and a way up. God's timing is always perfect, even when it feels delayed. This truth is a cornerstone of faith, a reminder that life doesn't operate on our schedules, but on a divine plan far beyond our comprehension. It can be difficult to accept, especially when you're in the midst of a struggle, waiting for answers that seem overdue. You might pray for a breakthrough, work tirelessly, and still find yourself in a season of waiting. But this is where trust comes into play. Trust that God sees what you cannot see, that He knows the end from the beginning, and that His plan for your life is flawless. Delay does not mean denial. What feels like a delay to you could be God's way of orchestrating something better than you ever imagined. Sometimes the doors remain closed because you're not ready for what's on the other side. God isn't withholding blessings out of punishment. He's preparing you. He's aligning the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances to ensure that when the door does open, you'll be ready to walk through it. The waiting season is often a growing season. It's a time for refining, for learning patience, and for deepening your faith. It's where you discover strength you didn't know you had and where you build the resilience needed for the journey ahead. God's timing is not bound by human clocks or calendars. He operates on a higher plane, one where everything unfolds exactly when it's meant to. Think about the times in your life when you wanted something desperately, only to realize later that the timing wasn't right. Maybe it was a job you didn't get, a relationship that didn't work out, or a dream that seemed out of reach. Looking back, you might see how the delay wasn't a setback, but a setup for something far greater. Hindsight reveals what faith must trust in the moment that God's timing is impeccable. In the moments when the wait feels unbearable, remember that God's delays are not wasted time. Every second is part of a greater plan. The seasons of waiting shape you, strengthen you, and prepare you for what's coming. Don't rush the process. Don't try to force open doors that aren't meant for you. Instead, lean into the wait with trust, knowing that God is never late. When the time is right, His plan will unfold with clarity, purpose, and a blessing that far exceeds your expectations. Closed doors are often redirections, not rejections. This can be one of the most difficult lessons to accept, especially when you're facing disappointment or heartache. It's natural to feel defeated when opportunities slip away, relationships end, or plans don't unfold the way you hoped. In those moments, it's easy to question your worth, your abilities, or even God's plan. But what if that closed door wasn't the end? What if it was the beginning of something better, something you couldn't yet see? Every closed door carries a purpose, even if it's not immediately clear. It might be a way of protecting you from something that isn't meant for you, something that could derail your path or harm your spirit. Sometimes what we perceive as rejection is actually divine protection. You may have prayed for a specific opportunity or outcome, but God in His infinite wisdom knows what is truly best for you. He knows the paths that lead to growth, fulfillment, and purpose. And often those paths begin with a redirection, a closed door steering you away from what isn't meant to be. When a door closes, it can feel final, but it's not. It's a shift in direction, a nudge to look elsewhere, to explore paths you may not have considered. Imagine how many opportunities you would have missed if you'd remained stuck, clinging to what was never meant for you. A closed door forces you to move, to grow, and to trust that there's a better plan unfolding. It's not about settling for less, it's about being guided toward more growth, more alignment with your purpose, and more blessings than you could have imagined. This redirection often requires patience and faith. In the moment, it may hurt and the answers may not come right away. You might feel lost, unsure of what to do next, but take heart, God is not leaving you stranded. He's paving the way for something greater, something that aligns with His purpose for your life. The closed door isn't a sign of failure, it's a sign that He has something better in store. Trust that in time, you'll look back and see how that door needed to close so another one could open. You'll see how every detour, every no, and every delay was leading you exactly where you were meant to go. Faith requires trust in God's unseen work and plans. Trusting in what you cannot see is not always easy, especially in a world that often demands evidence and immediate results. Faith, however, calls for something deeper. It asks you to believe in the power of a higher plan, even when life feels uncertain, chaotic, or unfair. Trusting in God means understanding that His hand is always at work, orchestrating events and aligning circumstances in ways you cannot yet comprehend. It requires you to surrender your need for control and place your confidence in His wisdom, timing, and purpose. Life is full of moments when the path ahead is unclear, when the silence feels overwhelming, and when doubts start to creep in. During these times, it's tempting to rely on your own understanding or seek shortcuts to ease the discomfort. But faith challenges you to do the opposite. It encourages you to stay still, to remain steadfast, and to believe that God is working behind the scenes even when there's no visible evidence. His plans are not always obvious, and His methods are not always conventional. Yet, they are always for your good. Trusting in God's unseen work also means accepting that not every answer will come immediately. Sometimes the delays, detours, and difficulties you encounter are part of the process. They are shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for what's to come. Faith isn't about instant gratification, it's about endurance. It's about holding on to the belief that every struggle has a purpose and every waiting season is leading you to something greater. This trust doesn't mean you won't face fear, doubt, or frustration. You're human and those emotions are natural. But faith allows you to rise above them. It enables you to say, I may not understand, but I trust that God does. I may not see the way, but I know He is making one. It's in these moments of surrender that faith grows the strongest. It becomes the anchor that steadies you in the storm and the light that guides you in the darkness. When you trust in God's unseen work, you open yourself to possibilities beyond your imagination. You recognize that His plans are not limited by your circumstances or your understanding. Trust in His work, even when it's unseen, is not a blind leap. It's a confident step forward, knowing that the one who holds the universe is also holding you. Faith requires trust in God's unseen work and plans. This trust isn't just about believing when things are going well. It's about maintaining confidence when nothing seems to make sense. Life often presents challenges that leave us questioning the purpose behind our struggles. Why did that opportunity fall through? Why hasn't the answer to that prayer arrived yet? Why does it feel like you're stuck in a situation that has no resolution? Faith doesn't always provide immediate answers, but it assures you that God is working in ways you cannot yet perceive. Trusting in the unseen requires a deep surrender of control. As human beings, we are wired to seek certainty and clarity, to understand every step before we take it. But faith asks something entirely different. It asks you to step forward even when the path is unclear, to hold on to hope when the evidence around you suggests otherwise. Faith reminds you that God's vision is infinite while yours is limited. He sees the full picture, past, present, and future, while you can only glimpse fragments. What seems like confusion or chaos in your life is, in reality, a piece of a grand design being woven together by His hands. This trust often grows in the moments of waiting. Waiting can feel like inactivity, but in God's plan, it is a period of preparation. You may feel like you're standing still, but God is moving pieces into place, orchestrating connections, and creating opportunities that will align perfectly with your purpose. The unseen work He is doing behind the scenes requires your patience and faith. Every delay, every unanswered prayer, In hindsight, you often see how God's way was far better than your expectations. The disappointments that once felt unbearable reveal themselves as blessings in disguise. The detours lead to destinations you didn't even know you needed. Trusting that God's way is always for your good doesn't eliminate the pain of unmet expectations, but it transforms how you respond to them. It reminds you that His love for you is unshakable and His plans for you are always perfect. Every challenge you face is preparation for the blessings to come. It may not feel like it when you're in the thick of a struggle, but every obstacle, trial, and difficulty serves a purpose greater than the pain it brings. Challenges are not random occurrences. They are intentional moments designed to shape, strengthen, and prepare you for what lies ahead. They are stepping stones, not stumbling blocks, meant to guide you toward the blessings and opportunities God has in store for your life. Life's challenges often feel overwhelming, unfair, and exhausting. You might wonder why you're being tested, why the road has to be so difficult, or why the breakthrough seems so far away. But challenges are not punishments, they are tools for growth. They force you to dig deep, to discover strength you didn't know you had, and to develop resilience that will sustain you in the future. Without challenges, you would remain untested, unprepared, and unequipped to handle the blessings that are coming your way. Each challenge you face has a lesson attached to it, a lesson that prepares you for the next stage of your journey. The patience you develop while waiting, the wisdom you gain through hardship, and the faith you strengthen in moments of uncertainty are all building blocks for your future. These experiences refine you, much like fire refines gold. They strip away doubt, fear, and insecurity, leaving you stronger, wiser, and ready for the responsibilities and opportunities that come with God's blessings. Challenges also teach you humility and reliance on God. When you face a situation you can't control or fix on your own, you're reminded of your need for His guidance and strength. These moments bring you closer to Him, deepening your faith and reinforcing your trust in His plan. They remind you that you're not walking this journey alone and that every challenge is an opportunity to lean into His wisdom and grace. When the blessings do come, you'll look back at the challenges with gratitude. You'll see how they prepared you, how they made you stronger, and how they position you to appreciate and steward the blessings well. Without the challenges, you wouldn't have the character, perspective, or strength needed to thrive in the next season of your life. Trust that every challenge is not just a moment of difficulty, but a crucial part of your preparation for the incredible things God has planned for you. Trust and obedience are essential while waiting for God's way to unfold. The waiting season is often the most difficult part of the journey because it tests your patience, your faith, and your willingness to surrender to God's timing. It's during these times that you're called to trust in His plan, even when you don't see the full picture, and to remain obedient to His guidance, even when the path seems unclear. Trust and obedience are not passive acts. They require intentionality, perseverance, and a deep commitment to following God no matter the circumstances. Trusting God while you wait means letting go of the need for immediate answers or visible progress. It's about believing that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating events in ways you cannot yet see. This trust is not rooted in blind faith, but in the assurance of His character, His faithfulness, wisdom, and love. Even when the waiting feels endless, trust reminds you that God's timing is always perfect. He knows the right moment to open doors, to bring clarity, and to fulfill His promises. Trusting Him allows you to find peace in the present, knowing that the delay is not denial but preparation. Obedience during the waiting season is equally important. It's not enough to simply wait. How you wait matters. Obedience means staying aligned with God's will, following His instructions, and remaining faithful to His word, even when it's challenging. It might involve continuing to work diligently, cultivating patience, or stepping out in faith when He calls you to act. Obedience shows that your trust in God is active, not passive. It demonstrates your willingness to submit to His authority and your commitment to His purpose, even when the outcome is uncertain. Waiting can also bring moments of doubt, frustration, or fear. It's natural to feel weary when you don't see progress or when the road ahead seems uncertain. But trust and obedience provide the foundation to keep moving forward. They remind you that God is in control, that His plans are always good, and that your role is to remain faithful in the process. Each act of trust and obedience deepens your relationship with Him, strengthening your faith and preparing you for what's to come. When God's way finally unfolds, you'll see how the waiting was not wasted. Trust and obedience during this time prepare your heart, refine your character, and position you to receive His blessings fully. They teach you to rely on Him, to listen to His voice, and to remain steadfast in His promises. Trust and obedience are not just acts of faith, they are declarations of belief in a God who never fails to fulfill His perfect plan for your life.